Social media in organizations. Here, I wanted to explore a little bit how social media can be useful for organizations and how they're used in various kinds of nonprofits, businesses, and government organizations. Here, I actually highlight one study that I have conducted with colleagues before in the context of local government agencies. And we developed this little framework, uh, which we use to explain the kinds of information that we found in the study. And these are the four main general categories, and there's some more specific ones which you can examine if you're inclined to. And I'll talk a little bit about what these are. So most of the content was both in one and two. So the first category is this idea of self-presentation and symbolic exchanges. So these were messages that emphasize positive self-presentation and also symbolic exchanges such as, have a happy birthday or sending greetings or good wishes to somebody. Most of the content fell in this sort of category, that is the content posted by the government agencies on the social media. So the content posted by the agencies fell mostly about this kind of information. And then also, of course, this one here was one of the major ones. Mainly this, and then followed by this one here. And this is just plain information deliveries, such as the policy on this has changed, or our hours of operation tomorrow will be such and such, and things like that. Much less content was for input seeking, at least explicit input seeking, where the organization would post some information, asking people to comment, asking people to provide information. Now, of course, behind the scenes, organizations are monitoring and surveilling some kinds of user behavior, citizen or audience behavior, but we saw relatively little of this as part of the explicit posts that the organizations publish. And and much less even two-way interaction and collaboration, which is kind of ironic because one of the major functionalities of social media is to enable this kind of interaction, right? You post something, somebody else comments, you respond, you interact. And we saw very little of this in the various local government organizations across the United States in this study. Here's a survey that I got from TechSoup.org about libraries. So it's a survey of 311 libraries and how they use social media. Here we have some graphs on hours spent per week on social media from the staff of those libraries. Also note about kind of half were relatively large libraries, but half were smaller rural libraries. So for all of them in general, together, most people or staff or libraries are spending 5 hours or less, and then followed by 6 to 10 hours per week. And this adds up to 84%. So the overall majority were spending this kind of amount of time per week on social media. Here's a graph of social media followers. So to kind of understand this graph here, so it's separated by social media. So let's focus on Facebook first. So for Facebook, 50%, 54% of all the followers were for libraries that are 1,000 or fewer people. Oh no, I'm sorry. 54% were 1,000 or fewer followers. So 54% of libraries had 1,000 or fewer followers, okay? 34% of libraries on Facebook had between 1,000 and 5,000 followers. And 6% had between 5,000 and 10,000. So the overwhelming majority, let's say this orange combined with the yellow, that's 88%. 88% had 1,000 or fewer, or between 1,000 and 5,000 followers per account. So it's not huge, but it's not that low, I guess. On Twitter, So here we have 44%, 1,000 followers or fewer, 44% of libraries, 1,000 or fewer followers. 19% had between 1,000 and 5,000. And the green here, oh, the green is not applicable. They couldn't find it. They didn't have information. So that's a shame for Twitter. For Instagram, also a lot of non-information, not applicable, because maybe they didn't have the follower count was not visible. But 40% of them had 1,000 or fewer followers. So we can see that mostly it's about here, have 1,000 or fewer followers. What libraries use social media for? So let's see here, the legend currently have dabbled, would like to start, no plans. So you can kind of see it, the orange is the most, the yellow is a little bit less, and then the blue is kind of just thinking about it. So share about library events. Well, we would often call this just basic information provision. Mostly are doing that, right? Share event pictures. So most libraries are doing that. So this is the percentage of libraries. So they don't write percentage here, but you can kind of see overwhelming majority. These are the major current uses of social media. Share event pictures, share about library services, highlight library collections, share others' posts. And then you can kind of go on and examine some of the other ones that people are just kind of thinking about or have dabbled at. Libraries' biggest social media challenges. First one, growing your audience, then administration, staffing, and time. Who's got time for social media manipulation, right? You got other work to do. So that's an issue as well. Measuring effectiveness. Everybody thinks they have to be on social media. They have to promote your stuff on social media. If you don't have a social media presence, it's almost like you don't exist. But how do we really know the outcomes, the impact, the value that using social media is generating for us? And that seems to be clearly in the minds of librarians, as shown in the survey. And of course, there are uses of social media and studies of social media in the context of advertising. Social media is indeed very much about promotion. It's about promoting and interacting with your audience. And there's a lot of research out there on investigating the impact of social media advertising features on customer purchase intention. So if you advertise a certain way, do you lead your customer to purchase your items more? Or do you get people to buy your information or go to your store, go to your library? I think it can be applied in that context as well. Here's an interesting research as well. These are relatively recent, 2018. This is from 2018 as well. So engagement with social media and social media advertising, the differentiating role of platform type. So essentially, this study is emphasizing how engagement with content on social media is highly context specific. It depends on the specific kind of content. It depends on the social media platform that each content is posted. And every platform is a unique environment. Each platform, a different set of experiences is related to advertising evaluation. So how people advertise the quality of assess the quality of an advertisement. It is further shown that engagement with social media advertising itself is key in explaining how social media engagement is related to advertising evaluations. So the way that the overall approach that people are taking will impact how people are evaluating, and also the notion that the general conclusion is that there is no such thing as social media. So every platform is different. Twitter is not the same as Facebook. Facebook is not the same as YouTube, and so on. So I think it's kind of a conclusion and a direction for us to think of each platform as its own thing, its own environment, and not label everything as social media. Related to this, of course, the notion of the influencer and influencer marketing. Social media for organizations is very much about promoting content and getting your audience to interact with your content or to interact with you and your organization. Nowadays, one of the big areas for marketing and advertising is getting other people, so-called influencers, to market your content. And influencers are those individuals who have lots of followers and are sharing products, sharing services online, and essentially are kind of marketeers of products and services on social media sites. And there's also research on this topic. So there's interesting research here recently come out on about marketing intelligence and planning, about Insta-famous and social media influencer marketing. And they show that the results indicate that consumers exposed to Instagram celebrities' brand posts perceive the source to be more trustworthy, show more positive attitude toward the endorsed brand, feel stronger social presence, and feel more envious of the source than those consumers exposed to traditional celebrities' brand posts. In other words, the posts, the brand posts exposed to Instagram celebrities, to the influencers. So the regular people that have lots of followers on Instagram, the regular people that just have lots of followers, they are more trusted, and people have a better positive attitude of the brands that are endorsed by the influencers. So it's kind of showing how the influencers are better marketing and advertising source than the traditional celebrities of the past. So these are some of the thoughts relevant for social media in organizations. And I'm going to leave you with this one here. All the different types of content we cover in this set of lectures. And I'll see you next time.